Hello, welcome to the final word. Aston Villa 1, Everton 2. Another win. Everton move into the fourth round of the Carabao Cup, where they will face Burnley at Goodison Park. Jack is with us in the studio in Pedro. Jack, back-to-back away victories for Everton in a few days. Unprecedented.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's like we're in an almost alternate Everton timeline. Now at this point, it's very much unprecedented for Everton. Did you say 2014? Last time you won back-to-back
away game.
Done it against decent sides as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? Are we starting to become a good team?
I feel like you've gone early, but...
Just for clarification, it was actually 2016 when Everton won back-to-back games. But those two games weren't actually back-to-back, but they were two away games.
Right.
Just for clarification.
So I'm not
we
wrong.
Can all clarify.
You're not wrong.
We can all clarify things.
Well, yeah, we all can, and I have.
Well done.
West Brom and Sunderland.
Well done. Well, I did hear this mentioned before, West Brom and Sunderland. And I do remember we won at West Brom, then we went to Sunderland, Romelu Lukaku.
We played a couple of home games in between, though.
Yeah.
But just for clarification.
Yeah, I just meant twice with them.
Yeah, I know. But people in the comments, you know what they're like. They get picky.
We can all go to West Brom and Gareth Barry can all score, smashing it in from
We can all
range.
take Jared Delafeu off quite early in the game.
27 minutes, I believe. We can all put Roma. We can all go to Sunderland and get a hat-trick through Romelu Lukaku. Yannick Bolasie doing bits. Cooking,
if you will.
All of that.
Don't say
This was important, Ped, obviously, against two decent sides, albeit Villa weren't at full strength, but then Everton weren't at full strength.
They made 5 changes, we made 5 changes. It's not our fault our squad's stronger than this.
People are going to take that seriously.
They are going to take it seriously.
How did people take that seriously? It's been about time I'm taken seriously.
But to be fair to Everton, it was a good result, which obviously will get.
No, it was a superb performance. Controlled, measured, never let Villa get going whatsoever, kept the crowd quiet, played on all those sort of like fears that people have when you're in the cup competitions of when you feel like there's other things about to play for and maybe it's not the most important thing. That doesn't matter if a team rolls up and just goes, sound lads, just beat us. You've got to give teams a game, haven't you? And what we did last night was we turned up with the game plan to beat them. And again, he made changes. He made change the formation. And we've gone there and we've put in a really good professional performance, which we don't always do. So that's 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, as Pet just said, they went to 3 at the back. Michael Keane came in. Nathan Patterson got back in the side as a right wing back, but Michalenko pushed up a little bit to left wing back. But he went with 2 in midfield with James Garner and Amadou Onana, and then obviously Jack Harrison made his debut. And we had Dan Juma in there, and obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin got a start, which his last start at Villa Park a few weeks ago didn't go so well. Last night went a hell of a lot better. But when you saw that 3 at the back, were you a bit surprised, or was it good to see for you that flexibility is there from the manager?
Yeah, I was surprised. It was interesting to see a change in formation. Sean Dyche hasn't gone 3 at the back particularly often, has he? I've seen Tarkowski, and then I've seen Keane, and I've seen Branthwaite as well. So it was like, that's strange. You didn't have to play Keane, but you've chosen to fit him in. But I'm trying to be less reactionary these days when I see the team news, especially after the Brentford game the other day, because I've seen that team.
I'm trying to be less reactionary after the Brentford game. So what, you just tried last night to be less reactionary? Was that your first go at being less reactionary?
It's the first go, but it's something I'm going to try and maintain.
Fair play.
Because, that team news came out and, you see Garner most likely on the wing again and, I tweeted a bit, she's doing this, it doesn't work. You proved me wrong.
Massively did
work. Yeah, so it did. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. Okay, we won't know how this is going to shape up until we actually get out there and play. Can't promise it'll last for those of you who follow me on Twitter, but I promise you I'll try. But yeah, I thought 2 in midfield as well. Onana and Garner isn't necessarily the 2 would go. If it was going 2 in midfield, maybe you want Idrissa Gana Gueye in there for the distance he covers to sort of, play as a second man as well, do 2 people's jobs. But, again, proven wrong on that, which is why I'm glad I didn't air those thoughts previously. They played...
Kept your powder dry.
Yeah, they played really well together, Onana and Garner. our two best performers, in my opinion. It controlled the game really well, and that's difficult to do in a two-man midfield, and they did do really well, but I think...
Up against two good players as well, Douglas Luiz and Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans, excellent player, isn't he? So they two good midfielders. It wasn't as if they were up against two inexperienced players. And the second half, they had Boubacar Kamara come on as well, so another good player.
Yeah, I think as well as a lot of praise for Onana and Ghana, the attack also facilitated this system as well, because we were pressing so efficiently. You know, there was a situation, I think it was after the first goal, but we had them pinned in, and Olsen, I think twice in the space of about 10 seconds, his kicks were a bit shaky, he was struggling to get out. And it's the same thing we've seen against Brentford. Again, isn't it? Forced them to go long in situations where they don't really want to. And suddenly they're unprepared. They're in not uncharted territory as such, but they're not doing what they've planned on the training pitch. You force them into situations they don't want to be, and then your midfield can press up and win the ball back. And then the mentality side of that for the opposition, when they are put in that situation, they don't like it. Feel under pressure, they feel like they're surrounded by opposition players because they just can't get hold of the ball, and I think that's where a lot of our success came from.
But the intensity, like Saturday, which Everton started, I thought was really impressive. I know Tielemans has had 2 shots in the opening, well, within about 3 seconds of each other because it got blocked and come back to him. But other than that, Everton's intensity was excellent, and in fact, as Jack's talking to, led to the first goal. The fact that we did press them, we force a mistake, a poor clearance, and we pounce on it. And obviously, Amadou Onana plays a tremendous little ball, and James Garner takes it on and finishes it. But it was that intensity that got us off on the right foot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all. You look at that first goal, take it back before Onana plays the ball, and there's people just trying to keep the ball alive, trying to keep the situation alive, not allowing Villa to get out, and that's where things can happen. That's where you can make things happen by those little small incremental differences, and that's what we did. And you could see that building up slowly as you know, we were getting into the game, just not allowing them to get into any kind of rhythm. That's an important thing when you're the away team, or even when you're the home team. Like we said how disappointed we are at the Arsenal game, and that's what was missing in that game. And it goes to prove that you work hard, you should get your rewards. Working hard followed by a little bit of quality, and the ball around the corner was brilliant. James Garner, to be fair to him, makes a brilliant move, brilliant run to find the space, and he finishes it brilliantly.
Great first touch.
Yeah, but it's his initial run, Joe, just to spot Onana's, you know, that's a ball Onana could play, you know, being on the same, you know, players training with each other every day, understanding the where they are with each other, wavelengths. But you've got to win all those little battles before. Always say this, you've got to earn the right to win games of football. You've got to put on the opposition. It's going to be a long day for you, this. You know, it's what wears teams down.
How many times have the opposition done that to us at home now, where we're trying to play out and we can't get out? It feels like, particularly the last home game.
And then the crowd becomes flat, or the crowd starts to get on the back, get anxious. And then you start snatching at the things you're trying to do then, because you're like, well, when's the next time I'm going to get the ball, or I'm losing this battle? And then you know, as games go along, you're forcing their manager to make decisions, that's been so evident in the last 2 games. That's what's been so different, you know, without going overboard. But we've seen the performance followed up from the weekend put into this game as well, and that was integral to the first goal.
The 2 set the tone really for Everton was Everton's 2-man midfield. A lot of people have wondered whether Everton could get away with a 2-man midfield. A lot of this conversation has been born out of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Beto. Obviously, the manager started with Dom last night, and it was who would play in that 2-man midfield then, who's got the legs to play in it. And every permutation you throw Onana's in there, because he's naturally the most dominant one out of the 3. I think it's this can vacate his position a little bit. The core, he's not really good enough to play in there.
Doesn't have the technical ability.
That's what I mean. And obviously James Garner has been, you know, the last time he played centre mid for Everton was at Doncaster, and he didn't impress at all. In that, he did second half when he went right back, but in the middle of the park he got overrun. Last night, this is building up on Saturday. I thought he was brilliant on Saturday at Brentford. Won the ball, played it through to Calvert-Lewin. He carried that on last night, and I was so impressed by his pressing last night and his tenacity to get after Villa and not let them settle. And he's very brave on the ball. He wants the ball in tight spaces. And I just thought his performance last night, particularly in the first half, him and Onana just bossed it, got it tied down. And Everton didn't seem difficult for us to get the ball back, which in other games it has been. And there was one where Dominic Calvert-Lewin should score, really. That all starts as well from Ghana, pressing them in the middle of the park, nicks it, lovely little shift with his body. The starts a lovely little move, touches it a couple of times, and then Harrison cuts in and plays Dom through. And it was because we were able to win that ball back. Well, Villa weren't set.
Yeah, and maybe James Garner's tenacity and his bravery, maybe that's born out of being a young player who's not a guaranteed starter in his team, definitely not in his preferred position. And recently this season, he's often been played out of position. That's not ideal for James Garner, but I think he's a player that understands that the fans know that this isn't my position, but they'll appreciate that if I give the best I can in this role and try and, it's not my bread and butter, but I'll try and perfect it to the best of my ability. He did that against Brentford at the weekend, so coming off that, he's now got his chance in midfield. The fans back him, the fans want him to do well. He's a favourite amongst a lot of the fans, and he came into his preferred position and he's really dominated the game. And like you say, there was the chance with Harrison cut inside. Again, another player I'm impressed with, Harrison. And that is your midfield play, isn't it? That's what you want from your two-man midfield. Because, you might not control the game possession-wise as such because you have less body, so, there's less technical ability in the centre of the park. But if you can make the other team, put them on the back foot, force them into almost moments of desperation on the ball because they're having such a hard time getting out, they're not making chances, make them play a bit more risky, you take the ball off them again. That's what you want from your midfield.
And that it did pour out and create opportunities for Everton. And I guess, Ped, coming into half-time, the disappointment was we hadn't added to the one goal. We'd had one where Branthwaite actually brings the ball right up the pitch and plays it to Danjuma, and he gets round the back and gets a little lucky break, and it almost ends up with an own goal from McGinn. It's a great save from Olsen. And then we had the Dominic Calvert-Lewin one that he should score, and then the second one I feel he should put it across. But it was a brilliant little move, that, and Harrison, it was a great little bit of vision and a great run by Dom. But it was that moment where you're thinking, oh, that was a chance to get two up in this one, wasn't it?
With them coming so close together as well, you're just going into half time thinking, we haven't quite got what we deserve here. We're winning, but we deserve a little bit more. And you always expect them, the home side, to go in and, I don't know what happens these days. Did he get the rockets? Did he get the hair's eye treatment, or does someone pull the iPad out and start telling them what they need to do, basically? So was that little feeling of, you've got to take your chances, and there's always that, isn't it? In every game, got to take your chances. So yeah, it was tinged with disappointment at our time, just going in at 1-0 because we had been that dominant. Yeah. Felt a little bit the same on Saturday as well, going in at 1-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was something to build on.
I mean, they made the changes as well at half time. Ollie Watkins, Luca Dean, Boubacar Kamara coming on, thinking these.
They couldn't have played any worse.
No, I mean, he wasn't happy, was he? And then you're thinking that he's going to get it. Will we look back? And don't get me wrong, I wasn't sitting there going, oh my God, why always us? But you are thinking we could be two up here, and we have missed a couple of good opportunities. Yeah,
well, even when you're dominating the game and the opposition aren't having a lot of chances, you do always anticipate a bit of a rally where you naturally have to take your foot off the gas a little bit. And, in that period, the opposition think, right, we've got an opening. They make a few chances, the crowd get up against the end. It's natural. It's happened a lot to us this season. And like that Sheffield United game was the biggest example of it, because they started the game awfully and we could have had that dead and buried, and we didn't, and they eventually rallied and scored and it changed the game. This didn't necessarily happen in this game for once, because we did have really good control over it for the first hour especially. But yeah, going into half time, you are thinking that 2-goal cushion would be nice. But it rules out that moment of rally. It means you've still got that lead, even if you do have a little spell and manage to score from it.
But we come out second half, and again, good pressing by Everton in midfield, forcing Tielemans back, and he plays a short ball to Conser, and fair play to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's alive to it. Little dink over Conser's boot means he can't touch him, and you can see the one from behind the goal, you see Conser go as if to go, because he knows he can't do anything, and Dom races through from the halfway line and gives the goalkeeper the eyes and puts it in the other corner. And it's a brilliant finish, and again, more difficult than the one he missed, really, but because he had a long time to think about it. But Ped, it was a cool finish, and to have Dom fit and fire, and that's 2 in his last 2 appearances now, it's a massive, massive bonus for Everton, isn't it? And it was great to see him just race through and click that one in.
Yeah, it's just, I knew at the moment there when the ball dropped, I was thinking, this is short. Can you do something? And it's a lovely first touch, you just knock it round them. Yeah. And then it's whether he can take it on and find the finish, and he did his control. I think he takes like 3 touches and it all keeps it nice and close to him. And then he gives the goalie the eyes and just rolls it into the corner. And again, you've been looking for those moments in games like Saturday. Can you take a 2-goal advantage? The difference that makes, takes the pressure off, changes the tactical approach from the opposition. But it was exactly what we deserved. We just sat in and we just waited for the moment, and we got it. And to see Dom get 2 and 2 is brilliant. He looks like he's absolutely buzzing. Gives a manager a hard decision to make come Saturday. Obviously more to do with whether Dom physically will be available for another game straight away, or does will better him. But just to have that decision to make is brilliant. And Dom does look back to something. And you know, it's mad. I mean, we've been saying for so long about getting a striker in. You can physically handle the pressures of playing up front on your own for Everton. And it's just brilliant. It's just brilliant to see. Great finish, great goal.
Brilliant goal, and like Pez just said there, Jack, we saw at the weekend him coming off the bench. You know, we spoke about this the other day on the final bit, but him coming off the bench after an hour and then turning that game and scoring a goal. Last night, it was his turn to start, and he gets through and slots it. And seeing him leave the pitch at Villa Park a few weeks ago was, you know, horrible, wasn't it? He just got himself fit, and he gets an injury going for a cross, which is not to do with the physicality, like his muscles or whatever. But last night he just looked happy with himself, you know, knocking people about. And I always look at, like, back to the Wolves game and the Fulham game and think, if we'd have had him, or if we'd have had Beto, we'd have beat, because they were kind of the chances we passed up against Fulham, opportunities like that. But you have to put that to bed. We didn't have them, and we got to move on. But another player, you mentioned them before, another player who I thought done really well last night was Jack Harrison on his debut, and he's not played since March, I think it is, or late last season.
End of last season,
a hip injury. We've had to wait for him to see him get back to fitness. But I thought for an hour, he looked tired near the end, but I thought for an hour he showed us what he can bring. Real hard worker, and with that little pass to Dom, that eye for creativity as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's building his fitness up, and he's had less training sessions with the squad than others players have. So he's still learning at the teamwork and everything like that. But he looks promising, doesn't he? A very hard worker, which is the main thing. And, you know, that's something that doesn't go away. There's certain players just have that drilled into them.
You have to do it under Bielsa.
Yeah, you know, working under Bielsa. And the way he's came up through his career, you know, he's been through the MLS and stuff like that. He's not a particularly
college system as well.
Yeah,
college,
but not as overcoached as some players who came exclusively through the English system might have been. But yeah, you know, having a hard work and direct, pacey winger. You know, it seems like the blueprint for a winger, but it seems like there's less and less of them available. There's the style of what people want from a winger's different. People want, you know, a wide forwards as such. He is, you know, he's playing on the right, but left-footed, he'll still cut inside. But it does seem more of an out proper winger.
You see it. What's the difference between him and even Dan Juma? Like last night, Dan Juma faced Matty Cash up a few times. And we had Dom in the middle, and he didn't throw it in. He just wanted to take it on himself and maybe get a shot.
That's his game, isn't
But
it?
I think Harrison on the other side will look to try and hit Dom or
Wingers
hit
have changed, haven't they? Wingers have changed loads. There's there aren't proper wingers anymore because there's no proper strikers anymore. And that's the problem. They're almost like you saying, they're almost in two categories now. They're like a wide forward, like say what Dan Juma was, or what like Richarlison was with us, or you've got the more intelligent kind of winger,
like playmaker.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, on a different level, Harrison and McNeil fit in both of those categories. They're both players who you know can come inside. They're but they're not the kind of player who's going to go right to the byline and then hang one up. You don't see that as their game all. I mean, you go back and like watch plays from like the 90s, the 80s and the 70s. That was their bread and butter. 2 strikers in the box, one making near post run, one making far post run. Centre midfield coming through, you had loads of opportunities. That just doesn't exist in football anymore. So you have they are two different. And again though, that's the unique thing of what we were talking about during the week of like, that gives the manager options, because he can have a wide forward who he knows is going to be more selfish and is going to be arriving at the back post if a Patterson swings it in from the right, or you've got someone like Jack Harrison or Dwight McNeil who helps come inside, build the play up a little bit, can get crosses in, don't get me wrong, but could also got an eye for that clever pass, but will also tuck in and become part of the midfield unit as well. So that's where the game's changed naturally. But I thought just this, like listening to Sean Dyche talking about him, saying the plan was actually to play him in the under-21 tonight before and give him 90 minutes, but he was so on it that he wanted to play in this game. And I think that he's wasted so much time already at Everton, the first 6 weeks of the season. He wants to get going. He wants to be part of it. He knows there's a place to be won there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it'll just be interesting that if he does nail down that place, I really don't see anyone else who's going to take it, to be honest. If James Garner, it sort of pushes him inside now and starts that conversation. But what will be dead interesting is the fullback in that role as well, because I do think Patterson could go up leaps and bounds by him playing in front of him, because he'll know he's got the energy to get back, because it's part of, we've seen this with the lad before, like you said before, that he's part of the Bielsa revolution at Leeds. He wants to work hard, he's desperate to work hard, so if Patterson goes past him, he knows he's going to come back. Whereas if you've got Ashley Young there, he's never even making that run, and that's because he's 38 and fair play, you know what you're getting from him, but at least Patterson will know now, I've got a guy in front of me who's prepared to come back and get into my position and understands that. Whereas I don't think quite James Garner understood that, because James Garner didn't quite understand playing right midfield.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to, just that instinct of like, oh, he's been dragged inside, so I've got to come and cover around the back and become that fullback. It's a lot easier the way we did it last night, because obviously it's 5, and it wasn't 5 at the back last night. It was properly 3 last night. So that was another bonus to the game last night. It was properly 3, and they were higher up the pitch, which didn't really help Mikalenko, but I thought did aid Patterson.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Well, we have spoke about the midfield as obviously having an excellent game. Let's have a look at, let's have James Garner's stats first from the game last night. There's his heat map. 1 goal, 1 key pass, 11 out of 13 of his duels he won. 6 tackles, and he completed 3 out of 4 dribbles, and just an overall excellent performance, and building on from Saturday, and for him to go into that role, because we always talk about the midfield, and people go on about Garner as if Idrissa Gana Gueye, as if sloppy and all that, and yet his numbers are always really good. He does do 1 or 2 sloppy passes a game.
Of course he does.
And sometimes it leads to an issue for us, and we're always looking for how do you carve that midfield then if he isn't in it. James Garner's gone and nailed, or gone and basically put a marker down and gone, I can actually play in a midfield 2 or in the 3 if you want, because look, I can do it. He's done it for Forest very well. And he done it last night, and like you said right at the beginning, he was up against 3 good players, because Kamara come on at half time as well.
Yeah, definitely. He's put his name in the hat, hasn't he? Idrissa Gana Gueye is still going to be one of the main contenders for this midfield, and you look at what Decore's brought under Sean Dyche as well, his goal-scoring ability, playing as I know he plays as a second forward, but he takes one of those midfield spots, doesn't he? So yeah, Garner's name's in the hat. The key thing for him is he's done it against a good level of opposition, 2 good midfielders. If you look at the heat map we just had on as well, he was still actually filling a lot of space out wide, but he was doing it efficiently. He weren't out of position. It's that's his pressing, that's knowing when to press and when to stay. So it was good performance by Garner. He's really in contention now to play in the middle. I'm sure he'll still have games where he's pushed out wide, because that's how Dyche wants to set up. But he's shown he can do it in midfield, and it was a good rebound for him after that Doncaster game where he was moved to right back after 45 minutes.
Because he struggled, yeah. And another player, Pet, obviously, was Amadou Onana, who I thought was brilliant at Brentford.
I think it was his best game for Everton last night.
Last night, he just was dominant, wasn't he? He was absolutely dominant, and Garner pipped him for my man at the match last night because of the goal and because of how well he played. But let's have a look at Onana's stats as well from the game. 1 assist, which was that great ball through as well, of course. 2 key passes, won 4 out of 6 duels, 2 tackles, and 50% of his long balls completed. I think he had more ball recoveries as well than anyone on the pitch. He was dominant in getting it back, and he's had 2 really solid performances, hasn't he, the last 2 games, and again against 2 of the better teams in the Premier League. So have you been impressed with him certainly the last couple? Because we've wanted more from Amadou Onana. You can see him with all the tools, and yet he went in there against Arsenal in a deeper role and didn't quite do it, just didn't move enough. But then Saturday and last night, brilliant.
Yeah, I thought last night he was so comfortable playing in his own natural position. The amount of times he let it, like, he rolled the opposition, let the ball come across him, so much better. And you know what? Maybe because it was 2 and there was a little bit more space in there, maybe he felt like he had to move it from A to B in a different way. And he did have the
advantage of a 3 centre.
Yeah, he did. Behind, but I thought you really saw the real Onana last night for these 2 games have been the real first times we've seen back-to-back performances. But I thought last night they were so comfortable and working in tandem with Garner, and Ned's just put the 2 heat maps up there, just put them on. Look at the space they've covered together. Onana's on the right and Garner's is on the left, but you know what I mean, swap them over. Yeah. But look how much they've covered the midfield space, just the 2 of them. They've covered it massively together. So that was important, that energy. And what's good about this is, you know, we talk about the likes of Decore and the likes of Garner, just a Garner guy, but we've got young players who hopefully naturally will take their places, rather than talking about like they must be in the team. And I think the managers actually stressed this. You've got like Patterson, Onana and Garner who hopefully will take their places gradually. Doesn't have to be in one go. Doesn't have to be you're on the bench now and you play. We've seen in the last couple of games the shoots there of these can come in and take their positions and understand it, because both of them or 2 or 3 of them are starting to understand their roles.
Branthwaite as well, of course.
And if Onana's playing his real position, then he's going to understand it. So it's going to be a little bit more comfortable for him. And if he's playing in his role, then James Garner can be asked to do the other role. And he's going to be able to understand that, because rather than going, well, you do this, that's a little bit alien to you, and you do that, that's a little bit alien to you, they both can work on it too then. And as you just said, having a third centre-back at times helps. But you're right with Branthwaite in there as well, and having Patterson emerging as well. We've been too, we want them in the team quick. We want them in there. We want them playing well every game. It doesn't always work like that. You need to just bed them in slowly. And I think last night gave us a little bit of hope that can actually happen.
The game really only, I wouldn't say went away from Everton, but it evened out a little bit.
We lost the momentum.
We lost the momentum when we made the changes. You can understand why he made the changes, but particularly Amadou Onana going off the pitch and Dominic Calvert-Lewin going, and Jack Harrison, because he'd done well. And it wasn't that we didn't replace them with good players, because we did. We know who come on. They were all good players. The 4 that come on were all very good.
Strong.
It was just Beto couldn't get up to the speed of it. It just seemed the game was a bit too quick, and he just wasn't getting in, although he was on side for one that he got slid in on, and he put the flag up, and his time just run well. Decore and Garner were in the middle. Idrissa Gana Gay, but he just never got hold of it enough. And Dwight McNeil come on. And obviously Ashley Young come on for Michalenko as well, didn't he? It's just one of them where we lost that momentum, and it allowed Villa to put us under a little bit of pressure, but it was still a fortuitous goal. And the big thing for me is, and I said this at the time, and I was made up, Sean Dyche said exactly the same thing, kudos, made up with him at in his after-match interview, because at the time I was screaming for Michael Keane to just knock it down the line. He'd already been caught earlier on messing with the ball. We had all the ball in their half, and he lovely first touch, went past one, and he should have just laid the ball off, and he hesitated, tried to turn back, got it took off him, and they break, and the Pickford pulls out a good save with his foot. But then he's done well, Keane. gets hold of the ball, and if he just plays it down the line, because there's nothing on, they have to reset. We can get back into shape, and there's no momentum, and he hits one into the middle where there's a lot of traffic. They end up getting a corner out of it because they turn it back, and Patterson gives it away, and we end up conceding from it, and that was frustrating. Of course, it hits Michael Keane because he,
Because it does.
it just, no matter how well he's doing, something will always contrive to go against them, doesn't it? And they're back in it with 10 minutes left, and you're like, that was unnecessary because we had done so much good work in this game.
Yeah, it was frustrating, and I don't want to dig Keane out too much because
he's done all right.
Yeah, it's by no means the worst game he's had in Everton
No.
shirt, is it?
No.
But it is little moments like that where the game can just get away from you, and yeah, there's mistakes that are made after that with the corner comes in and there's no one on the edge of the box to try and close down. Kamara to stop the shot, but you've got to look at how these moments start, what comes before that, and where the most easily correctable mistake happened, and that was with Keane's ball, unfortunately for him. But in terms of Michael Keane performances, it wasn't anywhere near as bad.
I thought he'd done all right.
He did all right
last night.
It was just that one
Decent
moment,
game.
and it just seems maybe luck is a factor for Keane as well, that when something does go wrong for him, it rains and it pours.
It's just that ball. I remember going back a couple of years, Holgate doing it in one of the Southampton away, I think it was 0-0, and he gave Andre Gomez, instead of just playing it down line and resetting, he gave it to Gomez, who was under pressure, and they scored from it. And I'm sure there was another one as well. I can see him doing the same thing in another away game where it's Newcastle, it was. When under Lampard, he got beat 3-1. The ball should have just been sent, it was Holgate again, sent right down the line while you reset, and they play a risky ball, and we conceded from it. And it was that last night, and the manager's come on and said afterwards, we should have played the right ball to get set, and then we go again if you're under pressure. And it is them moments from Michael Keane. There's nothing wrong with going, there's nothing on. We're 2-0 up, there's I'm bouncing it into their corner flag.
Making them turn.
Let them
and
turn,
we've got a will and run
and we'll
front.
start then, we'll restart.
Yeah, we can maybe even, like you say, press them further.
But they might knock it out with a throw-in or whatever.
But just on the subs, Dwight McNeil come on in the 65th minute, he had 8 touches.
Yeah, he just couldn't get it.
Adesanya Gay had 10 touches.
Right.
Beto had 12 touches.
Did he? Yeah.
And Onana, Ahmed Decore had 8 touches, I think it was.
Yeah.
6 touches.
Yeah.
That shows you how little impact they had when they came on.
Couldn't get into it.
Just couldn't get into the game. We lost the momentum. And
they had the good players on, don't get me wrong, Ed Lucas.
Yeah, and that's sometimes what happens when you bring players on at our time, isn't it?
Yeah.
They get up to speed a lot quicker. The game's, you're starting from a standstill again. Our players just didn't have time to settle and get into that rhythm that Villa was starting to get into. They were starting to build theirs up, and you're always going to come under pressure. And the goals come off a fluky heel
for that, didn't he?
He did, and then what he had to do then, before then, he'd had one shot to save to make, and then after that he has another save to make off the cleverly worked free kick. But it was a comfortable one, wasn't it?
Well, the XG on it was 0.008,
but that's all you need to
less
know.
than 1%.
You might as well have just stood there then.
They just made it look good.
Yeah,
they made it look good.
So yeah, of course they've got Everton being Everton. You want that clean sheet, you want that comfortable night, but ultimately towards the end we had the ball the majority down the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, listen, not having to go with the manager, he had to make the right thing to do was to make the subs. They just never got into the game. That's just the way it was. But in general, they only really had the Douglas Luiz overhead kick, which flew miles over the bar. That was it, really, after they scored. And to be away, and we won at the weekend, but we're not exactly like a confident team right now, are we? We're trying to build that confidence, and to be able to see that out. And we did. We went, Ashley Young got a couple of free kicks down in their corner flag, and we done quite well with it. Beto had one where he should have shot. He done really well, and he's hesitated again. Just blast it. Just have a go. You're looking for, you're outnumbered. You may as well strike it. It might hit someone, whatever. But in general, we saw it out, and it was a big positive victory because that was a tough game. We've had 2 tough away games and won both of them, and that was a big win last night for momentum as well as to get us into the next round.
No, definitely, and being able to get control back in the game after that little lapse period where he did manage to score, that was big for us because just going back to the substitutes quickly, I think the players that came on were all good players, and he does have to make those subs, especially when we're playing on Saturday as well, and got a big game. Just with Decore and Garnagway, they're not the type of midfielders you maybe have in a two together. You want, you maybe want Onana with one of them because, he was our outball. He was the one who played the longer passes. There was a moment just before half-time where he gets the ball off the centre-back, turns quick and sprays one out to Harrison. It went out, but that's the type of ball he can play. And you've lost Harrison as well, who's one of your main ball carriers. I think we just lost our way of getting up the pitch a little bit. And that made us a little bit more stagnant on the ball.
We just looked disjointed, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which we hadn't done.
Then when, Beto was just struggling to get into the game, he's not up to speed a bit. We do stagnate on the ball a little bit. Once we concede, we wake up a little bit and we become a bit more defensively solid. Villa are committing more players up the pitch. Then when we are getting out, it's more panic stations for them. And then, as you say, you can win your free kicks up the pitch and wind the clock down. And I think it was a professional way of seeing a game out from that point. Wind the clock down. Nothing too fancy. Just make them work. Don't let them have the ball in dangerous areas. We did well from that point, and that's something I've wanted to see more from a Sean Dyche Everton side, because that should be our bread and butter, and it looks like we're getting a better understanding of that now.
And I guess, Pet, the next thing is to take this on now to the home form, isn't it? Because in general, that's 4 away games on, one at Doncaster, 2 at Sheffield United, 1 at Brentford, 1 at Villa. So 3 out of 4 wins away from home in the last 4 games since the Villa hammering. It's can we do it at Goodison? Obviously 6 defeats in the last 7 at home. We've got to
we've got to turn that round. Got to give people belief, because it's what's going to move us up the table. It's what's going to put the points on the board. Could put the points on the board very quickly in the next 2 home games. Get us into a nice position to, as you come back from the international break and start getting those serious couple of months of November and December, certainly December, it's really, really busy, and could be even made even busier if we go through in the cup at home. So yeah, it's about showing that as well, isn't it? It's about showing that way of those perform. I know people will say the Fulham and Wolves performances weren't bad performances, and if we just had goal scorers. You've got to win those games. You certainly can't lose both of them for me. So that has to be turned around now, and people at home have got to, because let's be honest, it's great for the away fans, but it's 37,000 Evertonians at Goodison, and they've got to be shown that home, there's got to be, they can get the confidence back and start winning those games and start getting the points and start moving up the table and start making everything feel, because I really like this feeling, and if they take it off me, I'll fucking kill them. So
like the feeling of winning.
Yeah.
It's a strange feeling. Yeah. It's like a warm, fuzzy feeling of winning games. And
it used to just feel like that's what life used to always feel like. They took it away from me.
They took it. Let's have a look at the stats from the game last night. Obviously 2-1 Everton, 13 attempts at goal to 11 for the Blues, 4 on target to Aston Villa's 3, 4 big chances for Everton, none for Aston Villa, and 32% possession stat, which we're quite happy to have. That we don't need any more than that to be efficient, and that's more like it. Obviously 4 big chances, creating a lot of chances, and certainly having a lot of attempts, which is good. Onana had one in the first half, second half, which was a
just before they conceded, weren't it?
Just over. It was a great strike as well. I want to see more of that from him. He's got that ability to unleash, but a real solid performance, and to be in the next round, Burnley at home, it's a good opportunity. I wanted Exeter, I must admit, but Burnley, it's a good offer. But at home, some of them ties were tasty. I'm glad we were part of them. The El Dycio, is that what it's been called?
No, I've just named it.
You've named it. I know Sky had said it was the Dykes Derby.
Yeah, it hasn't got the same ring to it, has it? It's the
not really,
the El Dycio.
No, not, and that's what Sean Dyche brings.
Pizzazz.
Mr. Showbiz, Mr. Worldwide.
The entertainer.
But an opportunity, isn't it, to get into the quarterfinals? It'll be a tough game, of course it will, but at home, it gives Everton something else to look forward to, another like in the next round, and an opportunity to maybe get into the quarter-final of this cup and try to keep building that momentum, because it was important. Momentum is everything, and we're going into 2 huge home games now, and if we could, even it is still a big if, because like I just said, we lost 6 out of 7 at home, win the 2 home games, then that'd be a tremendous way to go into that next international break, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and Burnley are in a similar position to us where they don't really have anything else to play for. They're just focused on survival. Mainly their squad depth is made up more of, unproven Premier League players, the young players that had around the squad, or old Burnley, old guard players who have been slowly phased out. So, maybe we can go into that game with a stronger squad than them on paper as well. I think it's funny, isn't it, that, for years we've been saying, can we please just win a cup? The one year where we haven't even really mentioned it because we've just been, oh, God, please just stay up, don't get relegated. We're slowly creeping through the competition and we've got another winnable draw. I'm sure Burnley will make it a tough game for us, but if we can get through that, we're in the quarter-final. And then you are looking at it thinking, maybe...
Is it Port Vale, Mansfield or something, one of the games or something like that, one of them, or
2 EFL teams.
one of them would be nice in the quarters if we could get through. But with that, it's a big if, because you've obviously can only beat what's in front of you next time out. But going into that Saturday, it's a massive boost, and that now all the focus has to be on that. And Ped, what would you do Saturday? Do you start Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or just this week is it Beto, simply because Dom's had the half an hour at Brentford and then the 70 plus minutes at Villa, and there's a game a couple of days later? Is it back to Beto with Dom, and then maybe, depending on how it goes, maybe Dom to start the Bournemouth game at Goodison?
I'd like to tell you, but it's exclusive content for the starting 11 show, so
I get what you're saying.
Can't really divulge that information.
Okay. Jack, last you then.
I'd go with Beto just for the fact I think that stylistically he matches up better against Luton. And Calvert-Lewin, I think Calvert-Lewin could get a little bit isolated against them. We've seen him have games like that for Everton where, where if you can't get the service to him, he's limited to what he can do. And I think it'd be good for Beto as well. We spoke about this before on the live, but if he can get his tally up, if he can get a goal, it's the right type of game for him to do it as well. Get a goal at home in a big game for us. That'll do his confidence a world of good. But I think whoever you go with, you've got a good option, and that is the main thing, isn't it? And it's been a long time since we've had that.
And Ped, we are seeing, and hopefully it continues, more of the players working their way back to full fitness now. Obviously, Seamus Coleman's probably not that far away. Maybe after the international break, he'll be back in the squad. Delhi, maybe. And there's talk about him. Will he be considered and all that? But he may well be. And it just gives you, when you're looking at that bench, all of a sudden you're looking and going, there actually is options on the bench now who when you make a change, it doesn't drop. And I think we saw that at Brentford. It didn't drop, and those players did, particularly Dom got straight up to speed. Okay, last night they didn't get up to speed, but in general, yeah, they do. And giving a manager that many options can only be a good thing.
I think it's actually more important. It's more important in training, isn't it? Players pushing each other every day for the shirt. Saturday's going to be a really interesting one. This is going to be the first time for a long time that a manager's got serious options at Everton and has to know what he wants and who he's putting out there rather than the typical 11. And it's the goalies I feel sorry for on the bench personally. They're going to see their workload dry up, aren't they? So it is really good, and that's obviously pushing each other every day in training, making people who may have felt like they were walked into the side. It's not going to be that easy. And that long may that continue, because it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen a lot, and you've obviously got players who can be suspended and pick up injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, he's got an interesting one for Saturday. Well,
the only one really it seems like after his press conference might be a little concern over is Michalenko, but obviously Ashley Younger just going at left back, wouldn't he? So that'll be a simple one. Do you expect it back to 4 as well at the back?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think because Keane didn't do awfully, but he's not covered himself in glory either. And then you've got to look at how you accommodate the core and Guay. There's no reason to stick with it. We know it's an option, it's a viable option, but just for the sake of including Decore and Guay and not including Keane, I think it makes sense to go back to 4. But we know we can make that work as well, so we've got that as well. And there's the mythical 4-4-2. If we're ever gonna see that keeps garnering a lot of talk, and maybe the experiment last night with the 2 in midfield facilitates that in the future. Now we know we can do that. So again, it's another card in the deck, isn't it, for us that we can potentially go to.
Absolutely, and obviously if Michalenko does miss out, that means Patterson plays back at right back, and younger go to left back because he's been out at the moment because Michalenko's been playing. So we'll see. Hopefully everyone will be fit and the manager will have a full squad to choose from. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. We're going to continue over on Premier now. If you want to join that, the link is in the description. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you later. Hello, I'm back. Gary Ward just